Need your daily fix on mixed martial arts?
We're going to kind of recap Bellator 155
from UFC 198.
Who's who?
Kind of a controversial decision.
And who's not?
I couldn't figure out why, and then it hit me.
Well, don't you fret, because Golden State Media Concepts got you covered. Get your daily dose of MMA podcasts. Everything from the UFC, Bellator Fighting Championships, Extreme Cage Fighting, Invicta Fighting Championships, and so much more. Join us as we talk about some of the biggest names in mixed martial arts. We've got you covered here on Golden State Media Concepts MMA Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Golden State Media Concepts Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. I'm your host, and I'm actually here with my co-host today, William. How you doing there, William?
I'm good.
Okay, this episode is going to be kind of a unique one. We'd already recorded the show in which we were going to cover UFC Fight Night, and we were also going to cover the Ultimate Fighter finale, and this show was supposed to run today. But last night, we ended up getting some big news in regards to UFC 200 and the main event, which I'm sure everyone has heard by now, that Jon Jones has been pulled because he tested positive for a substance, and we don't quite know what that substance is, and has dramatically changed the UFC 200 fight card. So what we're doing is we're adding this portion to the show that we recorded last night. So it's really two shows in one. So you're going to get our take on UFC 200 and how this main event and what's happened with Jon Jones is going to affect things. And you're just going to get our take on everything. William, what was your thoughts when you first heard this news?
I mean, first of all, as a fan, I was just extremely disappointed. Just as a general sports fan, I was just so sad because I was looking forward to this card for the longest time. I loved how the UFC has instilled the USADA program to prevent any performance-enhancing drugs and just any drugs in the UFC, and I thought that was a great step for it, and I still believe it's a fantastic step. You don't really see this in any other sport, and it just really gets me like questioning the sanctity of the sports. I mean, you see across all different types of sports, whether that's football, baseball, basketball, there are people that are going to try to cheat the system, and it just really makes me question who's playing fair. I mean, who is playing fair in these sports?
Now, before I even touch on that a little bit, my first thing that goes out is, when I heard this news, I was just stunned. But then I thought about Daniel Cormier. And, a lot of people were on Jon Bones' side, but one of the things I'll tell you about Daniel Cormier is he's a really nice guy. He's one of the nicest guys in mixed martial arts. And this fight meant the world to him, and my heart just breaks for him.
Yeah, he when I was watching that presser, when they first revealed the news, he was just heartbroken. I mean, this was his legacy. He wanted to get he wanted a chance to wipe that memory of that first bout away, and just to have it taken from him 3 days before the fight, that really just devastated him. And I just feel so sorry for him because all he wanted was the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. It was just seeing him in the heartbreak, and then when I looked up Jon Bones' press conference, I look at it and I haven't really heard your take on it, but when I look at Jon, I see that he seems like he's hurt. He truly seems like he's hurt. And the first thing that comes to mind is, if he really was cheating and he really was using, performance-enhancing drugs, and we really don't know what substance he's tested positive for right now. But if he really is hurt, then it makes me think about some of the things that have happened over the last 3 or 4 or 5 months, or maybe even a little bit longer, where you like Lyoto Machida getting suspended for taking a substance that he totally thought was a legitimate substance, and he just wasn't expecting it to be something that he was going to get in trouble for. BJ Penn, and how devastated he was for getting suspended for the IV use. There was another guy that ended up testing positive for eating meat in Mexico. There's a lot of these stories that are going around, and that's my question that I have. A couple of questions I have, and I want to get your take, William, is with all these weird reasons why people are getting suspended, it makes you scratch your head and wonder, did Jones really cheat, or is it, or is he upset that he get caught? And then my other thing is, this test came in a month ago, June 16th, I think they said. Shouldn't they have reached out and said something way before this? Jon was notified last night. Dana White was notified last night. There has to be kind of something done about that.
I mean, first of all, there's so many moving parts to this story, so many moving parts to the event. But let me just start off by saying that when you look at Jon Jones as a whole, you have to take in all of his actions as a whole. I mean, from his car accidents, from his DUIs, to his drug abuse, and when you take all that in consideration, I know he looked really sad in the presser, and he looked devastated. And maybe it is a tainted substance. Maybe it is something along those lines. But that it's still unacceptable because, and going back to your point, when you look back at examples of fighters that have tested positive in the recent months with Frank Mir, Lyoto Machida, Yoel Romero, all these different fighters, they set a precedence for the effectiveness of the USADA program. They are going to get tested. You are going to get tested. You have to be prepared for this test. And it really isn't acceptable to me because Jon Jones has an entire team. All the focus is on him. He's under scrutiny. He's under probation right now for drug abuse. And if you're going to put yourself liable to some tainted supplement or something that may just devastate your career, that's not, you're not being responsible for your body and for your livelihood. So it's unacceptable to me in that aspect. He should have done more research. He should have a nutritionist. He should have somebody taking care of him, taking a look at every single thing that he puts in his body, because he's looking at a 2-year ban if this happens to be a performance-enhancing drug or some type of supplements that is restricted from USADA, and he's looking at possible jail time because he's under probation. I mean, he's riding a thin line. I understand where you're coming from and agree with you on a lot of it. My question is this, and I'm a big proponent for innocent till proven guilty. I know no one's really going to give Jon Jones the benefit of the doubt when you look at a situation where he's just been busted with using cocaine and got suspended and got stripped of his title. I just look at it as I'm trying to take this on a case-by-case basis on this one. If he's used and it comes back that he's used, he's gone for 2 years. And that's incredibly sad to see someone, if he's used and he's done it on purpose, has blown maybe one of the greatest careers in mixed martial arts history. But if this B sample comes back, and they're testing the B sample as a matter of fact this morning here, but if it comes back that the B sample is clean, and he it was just a false positive, then UFC 200 has been destroyed. Jon Jones's reputation has been destroyed, and everyone's a loser. And that's best case scenario. That's literally best case scenario, is that everyone's a loser.
because 200 is destroyed and Jon Jones's reputation is destroyed. That's best case. Worst case scenario is he used on purpose. He's out. Cormier doesn't get his match, which really crushes Cormier. The UFC destroys the UFC 200. This is just everyone loses in this situation.
While the timing of USADA's reveal was very unfortunate and very close to the event, their protocol is to test that A sample as much as possible. So that's probably why they took so long to reveal this news. They tested multiple times through different scenarios, through different testing procedures in order to guarantee it, because they don't want that backlash. They don't want to possibly ruin entire events and everything. They want to be sure about the samples that they're testing. So that's why they took so long, or from my understanding, that's why they took so long to reveal this news. Perhaps it could have been revealed sooner, but regardless of the fact, if you are flagged for a violation, you're out of it, regardless. I mean, this could have been a month out, this could have been 2 weeks out, this could have been a week out. You're still going to be out of the event. You may have had a little bit more time to find DC a replacement, but regardless, the event takes a really big hit. And as for the testing procedures of USADA, they have the B sample, and they actually freeze blood samples to be tested on later on when they improve their testing procedures, just to guarantee that their process is thorough and that anybody they indict on their drugs on their results is guaranteed.
Now, here's a question that I have here. I think the USADA program is great, and the UFC has the toughest drug testing program in all of sports. Make no mistake about that. The absolute toughest. But I think they should make a change. This is that question that everyone's been talking about in the past. That's their doomsday scenario where you wait 3 days before the main event. I think there needs to be a deadline put in before this, where make it a week, make it 2 weeks, where all USADA must come up and make their findings known a minimum of 2 weeks before the main event, because you cannot have situations where people are they're buying their tickets to fly into Vegas to see this fight. They're buying their pay-per-view dollars. And then 3 days before, most of these people are already in town. Right before the event, it's not meant to be a bait and switch, but it is a bait and switch, where you're like, I'm looking at, in my pound for pound ranking, the number 1 pound for pound guy versus the number 3 pound for pound guy, and that's worth flying in to see. And now I'm looking at, Brock Lesnar, Mark Hunt, which is still an amazing main event, but it's not the same main event. So I do think that there needs to be a new policy put in place for that. And then the other question I'm going to ask is, Cormier has said he would still be open to fighting on UFC 200. It's going to be kind of hard for them to find a replacement fighter for him. But I think Cormier said he wouldn't put the title up, but he would still fight on UFC 200, and he'd fight anyone from all the way up to 225 pounds. So give me your take on both of those.
Well, just to go back about something needs to change with USADA. If they were to instill like a 2 week out or 1 week out clause in revealing some of the results there, fighters are going to take advantage of that. I mean, if you give them... I
know, that's the bad thing.
If you give them any leeway with that, people are going to cheat the system. And that's not what USADA is about. They're all about randomly testing people. Showing up in the middle of the night, showing up right when they're waking up, showing up whenever and wherever. You always have to be ready. And if you give them a window of opportunity, they're going to take advantage of it. I mean, there's some masking agents and there's some PEDs out there that USADA's always trying to play a catch-up game. I mean, that's how it is. There's always new drugs coming out, always new ways to cheat the system. But USADA is adapting against it, finding new ways and doing research, putting people undercover, finding out what types of drugs there are out there, and always trying to be ready for them and adapting their testing methods for it. So if they have any window of opportunity for that, people are going to take advantage of it. And there is not really a set way of this. I think that this is going to set a precedence for some of these fighters. They're really scared. All those cheaters and all those people that are on PDs out there, they're put on notice.
They are definitely put on notice, without question about that.
You have two of the greatest of all-time fighters in Anderson Silva and Jon Jones that have been caught by these programs. You don't think that, I mean, if you're at the top and you're using PEDs, you're scared. I mean, you're scared. You're going to get caught. I mean, it's a matter of time. That's what it's about. So I think that's going to set a precedence for that. As for replacement fights for DC, there's a lot of fighters that have come out and said that they'd love to face them. You got Uriah Hall, Gegard Mousasi, people on that card, Ilir Latifi. There's a lot of fights out there. I really hope that they are able to match them up with someone within that 200 to 225 pound range, because he trained like a madman for this fight. And to take away an entire salary, I mean, entire...
Yeah, I mean, the salary is so important, especially to DC, who, hadn't made a lot of money up until this point. This was going to be a big cash cow for him. And so, there's so many things that's been so disappointing for DC on this one. I would love to see it be someone like Uriah Hall. It's someone who, even though he may be very different than Jon Jones, at least it's kind of in that same training kind of type of fighter, so that, that DC can actually be at least a little bit prepared, because you don't want someone to come in that's totally different and then DC has to, have to fight someone that he's not remotely prepared for. So I think Uriah Hall would be a good option for him. What's your thoughts?
When I'm looking at the heavyweight, when I'm looking at the light heavyweight and the middleweight divisions, I don't see anybody there other than the top echelon of heavyweight fighters that can really challenge DC. I think that if they put in an overblown middleweight or just like a replacement light heavyweight, DC's ready. I mean, he's never been in as good a shape as he has now, regardless of the styles. We've seen him put through the gauntlet of fighters out there. Jon Jones is the only one that really tested him.
The only one. And that's the reason why I make him my number 3 fighter, pound for pound. But I'm okay with them putting in someone that I think will be an easy fight for Cormier. Cormier needs to be rewarded for his hard work. Cormier has done everything right, and we don't know, right now it looks like Jones hasn't done everything right. I still hold out hope that he has, and that this is just a bad situation. But the person that should not be punished is Daniel Cormier. And there needs to be something done where either Cormier gets a portion of his pay, or they put him in with someone else, even if it's someone that, doesn't look like could be a big threat to Cormier. He deserves his fight. He deserves to be on this card. He deserves the recognition, and he deserves to be rewarded.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, DC has pay-per-view points and shares with this card. I mean, that's what Dana said in the presser. If you're losing out on one of the biggest pay-per-views of ever for the UFC,
it's the biggest one of all time.
Yeah, that's a 7-figure payday for DC. And even if he gets like a 6-figure or a high 6-figure or just anything just to reward him, he deserves it. He's put in all this work and he's going to get nothing. That's like going to school. That's worse than probably going to school and going to college and then never getting your degree. I mean, you're just putting in all this work and you're never getting rewarded for it. And we're talking about one of the best fighters in the world, and he's trained for another another talent there. Really unfortunate with Jon Jones, but this is not what he's
right.
To get rewarded.
Okay, well, one of the things we're gonna wrap this up because this is kind of like a special edition. Before we had recorded an episode which we're covering UFC Fight Night in Vegas, plus the Ultimate Fighter finale. Well, this portion here is just gonna kind of be an episode, kind of right before that. And then we'll play our episode. So this, the actual episode that was supposed to run. So you'll get 2 episodes this today. Once again, when you look at this whole situation, I feel bad for Cormier. I even feel bad for Dana. You look at Dana, and Dana just seemed devastated. But anyway, we're gonna wrap things up with this episode, and then tune in to our next episode, which is scheduled to air today, which we're going to talk about the Ultimate Fighter, and Fight Night. And then we're also going to have an episode where we're actually going to cover all of UFC 200 and a little bit more about Cormier and Jones. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you a little later on. Thanks.